Rabbi Meir says, one should always teach his son to a clean and easy trade. Good job, simple job. That is relatively easy. He doesn't have to go to school for 500 years. He doesn't have to be a rocket scientist. Something that he can just make a basic living on. Whatever he can make. Something that's easy to do. Why? So he doesn't spend all of his time studying secular studies and end up not having any time to learn Torah. But then you're going to say, wait a minute, but if he's going to become that, he can work in a deli and then he's not going to make any money. How is he going to live off of $500 a week? Well, if he doesn't go to med school, doesn't go to law school, doesn't go to engineering school, doesn't go to this school and that school, how could he ever make anything out of himself? Those words are words of kfirah. Those words are words of heresy. Why? The Mishnah continues. And he should pray. He should pray to he to whom all wealth and possessions belong to. Because there is no trade that does not include indigence and wealth. For poverty is not the result of a trade, nor is wealth the result of a trade. Rather, all is in accordance with one's merit. A Jew thinks like this. A Jew that has the right hashkafa doesn't look for a career in order for that career to make him a certain amount of money. Why? Because the Mishnah, the foundation of our oral Torah, tells us otherwise. First and foremost, don't waste your time going to school and school and school and school and school and school. Get enough school that you know basics of something, and that's it. Get a job already. Why? How about making money? There are plenty of people that have made money without going to school for 100 years. There are plenty of people that have given themselves enough time to learn Torah and not spend all their time chasing some type of trade because they assume they need to have all of this teaching in order to make money. Why? Because the Mishnah here says, and if the Mishnah here says, this is the thoughts of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, this is what our rules are, this is what our shkafa is supposed to be, our ideology is supposed to be. There is no such thing as a trade that has no millionaires in it. There is no such thing. And there is no such thing as poverty that doesn't come from any trade. I can tell you this from personal experience, not that you need it because the Mishnah is more than enough. But I was in a business where I dealt with rich people. That's what was my client. If you weren't rich, you just weren't my client. Once in a blue moon, a friend of a friend, a cousin or something like that would be referred, and I would in essence have to take the business as a courtesy to the client that I had that was rich. But nonetheless, if I acquired you as a client, it was because you were rich, not because I liked your personality or your hairdo. Why? It's a money business. The whole goal is, you give me a bunch of money, I invest the money to give you a bunch more money back. That's in essence the whole goal of it. That's in essence what investment's all about. Now, of course, you do your best. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. But the point being is, that's in essence what the whole job is. So, by doing that for almost 20 years, I saw all types of professions. I met all types of entrepreneurs, all types of executives of public companies, billionaires, startups, all types of things. People that were at Google, people that were at Apple, people that were in sports, people that were just average Joes. You're never going to hear their name in the news, but they're multimillionaires. I had one client that made literally millions upon millions of dollars by selling dog food. Dog food. Now, of course, dog food today, you say, oh, dog food's a big industry today. Yeah, but it wasn't always. No one even thought about selling dog food 70, 80 years ago. Why? You just give them whatever you didn't eat. When I grew up, there wasn't such a thing as a dog food in Israel, or at least not something that we knew about. Why? We just gave our dog whatever we didn't eat. That was the dog food. Give him special food? Well, he was clever enough, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave him the wisdom to say, okay, make packaged food and sell it in stores and people can actually buy it. And guess what? People did. People did. Add another person, knew absolutely nothing about farming, but figured, you know what, I have a few dollars, let me go buy a tractor. He bought a tractor, then another tractor, then another tractor, rented them out. Long story short, made millions of dollars in the tractor business. Tractors. Another person built homes. Another person did all types of other investments. All types of things that you would think, oh, okay, yeah, after the fact, of course it makes perfect sense. Why? Because you're seeing the bank account is huge. But when they first started, it's like, why would you do that? Why would you make that? Why would you do that? On the other hand, you think, oh yeah, well, sure, if he's a lawyer, if he's a this, guess what? A lot of people think that lawyers and doctors are the only ones that make money. There's plenty of people that make 1,000,000 times more than them. But they're your average guy. They look like they're just blue-collar people. They look like they're worth $5, but they have a mansion, $5, $10, $20 million. Why? They make their money plumbing. I had a guy made about $50 million plumbing. Plumbing. Think, just what, changing the toilets? Yeah, changing toilets. Made $50 million. Another guy, UPS driver, made $10 million. $10 million. Till this day, he's driving a truck. HaKadosh Baruch Hu makes millionaires in every job. If you're going to spend your Torah time studying secular subjects in order to acquire wealth, you're making a mistake of your life. Why? Money is not made because of the profession you chose. Money is not made because of how high your IQ is. I met plenty of people that have extremely high IQ and are broke. I had guys that were Harvard graduates, top of their class. They couldn't make a nickel if the nickel was thrown at them. Simply couldn't do it. All types of people, Rabotai, that literally made a fortune, and some people, they had the perfect job. One guy literally inherited a business worth millions of dollars, put it all the way under the ground. Like he took millions of dollars and turned it into a negative balance. One particular guy got a contract for millions of dollars, burnt all of that money within 4 years. Every single penny. And there's countless people like that. Countless people like that. Rabotai Karim, if you think that money is going to be acquired through a specific profession because it requires a certain type of skill set or IQ or dedication, you do not have the right ideology, and you definitely do not have Bitachon in Hashem. Why? Having Bitachon in Hashem means that you understand that money comes from Hashem. Money comes from Hashem. Why? Everything is His. Liya kesef v'liya za'av ne'um Hashem tzevaot. Mine is the money, mine is the gold, says the God of legions. Hashem says everything is mine. The Mishnah is simply reminding us, don't teach your son, don't send your son to some law school, med school, and waste 10 years of his life because you think that's the way that he's going to have to make money. He could simply make money in a million other ways. He doesn't have to go waste his life. Why? If he goes into that path, guess what? He's going to not be able to study so much. He's going to have a tough time. There are very few that actually succeed in living both lives, meaning such a committed career, at the same time a high standard Torah lifestyle. They do exist. There's one particular one, Baruch Hashem, that I just heard about recently. The author of the Sefer called a Mafteach. I mean, this work, Mafteach, is a work of brilliance. Brilliance. It's literally an index for the entire Shas, Bavli, telling you exactly where every sugya in the entire Shas is. It's something unbelievable. Unbelievable. When I heard his story, he says that when he showed this to Rav Kanievsky gave him a hug. Now, anyone that sees the videos of Rav Kanievsky is not exactly a hugging type of personality. When he saw this, he gave him a hug. This work of brilliance. Now, you would think this came from someone that's a lifelong avrech, sitting in a kollel in some corner, no one ever hears and no one ever sees him. No, he's a lawyer. He's a lawyer. A successful one, too. So they asked him, the publishers at Art School that are reprinting this book, asked him, listen, how did you manage to write this book that requires an enormous amount of time, of work, going through the entire Shas? I mean, it's not like reading and writing your synopsis of it. This is like going through every single sugya, every complication in the Torah, and literally indexing it. Where is this? Where is this? All the sources, all the places, and so on and so forth. But it has to come from a learner, not just a computer. Somebody like that, how did you have time to... He says, I did less lawyering. I couldn't work as much. Why? I was learning Torah. Now, how many stories are there like that? Not many. Why? When you go into that type of world, it's no different than when you go into the stock world. Many people ask me all the time, listen, should I go become a broker? Should I become a hedge fund manager? Should I go into the investing? Should I start day trading myself? I said, not if you want to have a Torah lifestyle. Why? Because it's a consuming life. To go into the stock market, whether as an investor that's active, or as a broker or a hedge fund manager, in essence, all three are active in the market. It's a consuming profession. Even if you don't do a trade every day, you have to watch what's going on all the time. There's no sleep. There's nothing. There's simply no life. And even when you're trying to do other things, you're constantly thinking, wait, the market just opened in China. The market just opened in the UK. The market this, the market that. The earnings are coming up. Earnings are finishing. The GDP is coming out. This is coming out. There's constantly stuff going on that's market moving. And unless you're an extremely long-term investor that just puts their money in park and just leaves it, you're not going to survive. You're not going to survive with your head on straight. Why? Because it's a consuming business. Now, are there success stories? Yes. Do I know a few? I know of a couple. Of someone that invests and at the same time is very dedicated to Torah. But ratio, almost non-existent. Microscopic. Why? Because it requires a very, very strong personality and a very strong pre-existing dedication to the Torah that's superior to your desire to succeed in the profession itself, which again is very hard to come by. Needless to say, if you're getting into the stock market because you think that's the way you need to make your money, or you're getting into the law world, legal world, or medical world because that's where you need to make your money, it's a mistake. Even without just the Torah and everything else, it's a mistake. Why? Because that means you have the wrong ideology. You think that you are going to make